Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the New Agenda. My name is Candace New, and I am your host. I am so excited to have you on my show today, and I'm really excited for you to meet the gaggle of interesting people that are maybe coming out for my show today. Actually, we'll get to that in a minute. Today, I want to talk a little bit about that idea of what happens when you get information, news, if you will, that is maybe not what was expected. I would argue it errs on the side of disappointing. And maybe it becomes an obstacle to your progress, right? So we're always talking about the idea of like, how do we plan and prepare for and pursue our dreams? In addition to that, though, when things go awry, how do we pivot? How do we move forward? And so today I want to begin inviting you to consider how you might pivot if something that was supposed to go according to plan does not, and now it's created an obstacle for you to have to hop over in order to get to your dreams. What do you do? We're going to talk about that a little bit later today. And actually, honestly, like full disclosure, we actually had something sort of like that happen today. About 10 minutes ago, one of our guests had an emergency and was not able to make it. So you get to watch the process I go through when interviewing potential guests for my show. So we're going to bring out a couple of friendly personalities and see if maybe they're a right fit for today, and you can participate in that process with me. So let's go ahead and get started. I actually don't know their names, so we're going to meet them right here on my couch. Today should be so much fun. I'm going to sit down. Yep, it's going to be great. It's going to be so great. All right, so let's bring out our first potential guest. Let's go. Woo!
Hello, good to see you. Hello there.
Hello there.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, what's your name? Tell me a little about yourself.
Oh, my name is Jorf. Yes, Jorf.
Jorf,
yes.
like George?
No, with F.
With
Hard F-P-H.
Oh, okay.
J-G-O-R-F-P-H.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell me a little about you, Jorf.
Sure, I'm evil as mastermind. I open animal clinic and then I do experiment.
Next!
Okay.
Next,
see you
thanks,
later.
bye.
Bye, thank you.
I'm sure they can't all be that crazy, right? Okay, so let's bring out another one. You look very much like Jorf.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, no, he is quite handsome, isn't he?
Okay.
Yeah, well, I grew up in northern Minnesota. Yeah,
Oh.
There's a Lake Mille Lacs. You get in there and you just get your fishing reel going, and you just catch a nice and long lutefisk there, you know. Or
what?
Yeah, there's all kinds of great fishers in there.
Fisher.
Sure, you can get any single one.
My dad's a fisher. He actually texted me this morning and told me he caught some. He said some crappie, but I think he meant crappie. Sorry, Dad.
Oh, yeah? Well, don't you know? That's nice.
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't you know it? Another dad from Minnesota, right?
Yeah.
No, or not?
Next.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Sure,
Bye.
no. Thank you. This has been great. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you later.
I mean, we could talk about fishing today, but I don't think that's on my... Next. Who's the next guest? Hello there.
Oh, hello. How you doing?
Good.
Good to see you.
You sound familiar.
Oh yeah, my uncle Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah, I'm Jerry Schwarzenegger. Good to see you.
Is that like Jerry Springer?
No.
Oh, good.
No,
It's wrong talk show.
I'm running for governor of California.
Oh, we actually don't do politics on the show. Next.
Oh, okay. See
Next.
you later.
Bye-bye.
Thanks
Bye-bye.
for having me.
Woo.
So nice to be here.
Interesting. Maybe I need something other than coffee in my cup. How about another one? Let's try again. Woo! Oh, you look docile. What's your name? Tell me about yourself.
My name's Candace.
Wow. Okay. Tell me about Candace. Let's go.
Okay, well, I have my own show, and I'm just like living the dream, you know, kind of just like feeling like myself, being in my body, you know, being in my full self, just living each day, pivoting a lot, you know.
I actually don't hate this conversation. Tell me all the good things about you.
Sure. Well, the thing is, I'm an entrepreneur, and I get after it, you know, but I also take care of people. I represent, you know, in my community, and I hold people up, you know, on my back. And, you know, I'm a mother, which is real, you know. It's not easy being a mom.
How many kids do you have?
That's a fair question. That's a fair question.
Oh.
Me, personally,
Philly?
I have 13 children. That might be different for you.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
that's, wow. Yeah, next.
Okay.
Goodbye. Thank you, though. I mean, I appreciate it. I mean, I do all those things. I mean, good times. Just like praying to the talk show gods to send me somebody that's not crazy. I don't know. Maybe I'll just have a me talk to you show. What do you guys think? Is that maybe better? I don't know. Good God. Okay. All right. So we are going to hope this next guest is the guy, the person, the gal, that's whomever, that is the right person to have an intelligent conversation on my show without making fun of me somehow. Yeah, good times. Let's bring out our next hopefully guest. Woo! Hello there. Oh God, this doesn't look good. And what is your name?
Voldemort.
Next! Swipe! No! Oh my God. Speaking of swiping, have you guys heard about the new musical that we are putting on at the National Hispanic Cultural Center? It's called You're a Catch, Why Are You Single? And it is about the woes of online dating, which is kind of how I feel right now, about the crazies that you meet when you swipe. Yeah. Y'all should come see it May 20th and 21st. National Hispanic Culture Center. Get your tickets online at the NHCC website, or you can learn more information at catharsismedia.org/events, and then it'll direct you to the NHCC website to get your tickets. So maybe we have a guest from NHCC here today. I'm not really sure, but let's check in. Do I have... Hello, darling. How are you?
Candace,
Good to see you. Oh, God, so good to see you.
Good to see you.
I have met some interesting people today. How have you been today, Max?
I'm good. I blacked out for the last maybe 15 minutes.
Have you?
How's the show been going so far?
I was waiting for you to get here. I was a little nervous.
Sure.
I started interviewing people off the streets.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that was interesting. It was a
Okay.
lot of no, next, swipe left.
Well, you got to do that sometimes.
Yeah.
You never. Some people aren't prepared for this sort of thing. They come in with their own kind of agenda.
I guess so.
So
Ha,
to speak.
ha. Right, but it's my agenda
So it
and
should
not
be-
theirs.
this is
That's
your
right.
agenda,
It's my
it's not
agenda.
their
This is true.
Agenda.
All right, Max. So I'm super excited to have you on my show today. Let's talk a little bit. I want to know about you as a person, as a human. Like, where did it all begin? All this charisma that you've got going on, probably like when you're like this big. So tell me all about, your journey as an artist.
Sure. Yeah.
Please don't talk about like coming out of your mom's womb. Like that's not really.
I was born in a hospital.
Yeah.
No, I grew up in Minneapolis, a great art city, and both my parents were really into filmmaking.
Don't they have like the biggest mall in the world there or something?
Yes, the Mall of America.
Okay, I've
I
been there
would go
once when I
there.
was in high school. Went there for I don't know, maybe it was a thespian conference or something. I don't know what it was. It had to have been something like that, and we stopped there.
It's a crazy spot. They have an amusement park, indoor amusement park, in the
What?
center of a mall.
Okay, it is amusement park time. Have you been to any amusement parks lately, and do you like amusement park? What's your favorite ride?
So I went to Santa Cruz
Okay.
and house sat recently
Okay.
and took my daughter Dahlia to the amusement park. It's the first time she'd ever been.
Your
And
daughter's how old?
She's 3.5.
Oh my, she can ride rides at an amusement
No,
park?
no.
Okay.
But she can look at them.
That's right. Okay,
and
good.
eat candy.
I was like, oh, okay, you got a gold star, Dad. Right
Yeah.
here.
No. But she had a blast. We
Yeah.
had so much fun. We just went down there together at
That's
Santa
awesome.
Cruz. So my favorite ride, I'll go on any ride.
Yeah.
I still remember those Six Flags rides that are like,
What is the coolest ride?
Insane.
Yeah. Like, what do you think?
there was that one in California called, I think it was called X.
Okay.
And it like flipped you over while going down.
Oh God.
It
Oh
was-
God. I don't think I get motion sick.
Yeah.
So did I tell you about the time when I went shark diving? I went diving with
No,
sharks.
you
I went,
did?
yeah, I went scuba diving with sharks and in the Denver
Get
Aquarium.
out.
There were
Get off the
14
show. Get off the show.
There
That's
were
not-
14 sharks, and I got nauseous. I got motion sick underwater, and I was terrified that I was going to throw up and kill everybody.
Throw up on the shark? Why would everyone die from your vomit?
It's like chum, right? And then they like swarm and eat you. I don't know. And so that made it worse, of course. And so then I was like swimming up to the top because I was going to throw up, and my dive master grabbed my leg and pulled me back down. He's yelling at me underwater. And it's at the aquarium. So like there's all these kids like gathered around too because they want to come
Wow.
see the divers and the sharks, and they think it's so cool. And I'm like panicking, and they're probably think I'm dying or something, who knows.
Yeah.
And then I'm explaining like, I'm going to throw up. And he's just yelling at me. And then I just start throwing up underwater
You
through my
did not.
regulator. I did. And I really thought that was the end. But then I swam up and, took out my regulator. And at that point, I guess he didn't care about me going up anymore. And then he explained to me once we got to the top that sharks don't care about your vomit. And I was like, oh, he's like, the little fishy do, but like sharks don't. And I was like, oh, that would have been good, helpful information before getting in the shark tank. Because, yeah.
So you vomited underwater?
A couple times, yeah. I actually...
More than once?
I get motion sick. My doctor had to prescribe me some patch, which we're going to try this next time because I get motion sick underwater. I also, I try to be adventurous, but I also get motion sick when kayaking and when flying airplanes. So the last time I went flying, I definitely went with Gary Williams, actually, who is the guy who runs this studio, and his daughter, and then some kids, right? We were taking kids flying, and taking kids flying when you're in the back is not great. And then it was my turn to fly, but people had flown in front of me, and I was already nauseous, and I was trying real hard to pull it together because I wanted to be a cool kid. But I think he could see the sweat dripping down my neck as I was trying to hold it together. Because at one point he's like, "I'll go ahead and land it for you. It's gonna be fine." Yeah. And I was like, "It's good. I can do it. I can actually throw up while driving or flying. I'm a pro at it." So
how do you know that? You've lived through it.
Yeah,
I can throw up while put that on your resume.
One of the interesting, so I have lupus, and one of the weird things that happens is I'll get these crazy migraines, and that they make me vomit. They're so bad that I start throwing up.
I've had that. Oh my gosh, so intense.
And it'll happen sometimes when I'm driving and that makes it worse, but I have kids, I don't know. So pulling over obviously is a thing, and I've done that lots of times, but sometimes I'm at a place where it'd be more dangerous to pull over, or it just comes on so quickly. Yeah, so I've thrown up into a Ziploc bag while driving down the interstate a couple of times. It's really not a good idea. Wow. But just so you know, that's a life skill that I have, so I don't know how we got on that topic. Oh, we're talking about roller coaster. We're talking about amusement parks.
Yeah, we got there.
Sorry, I don't know how we got there. I'm so sorry.
I vomited. I still have a distinct memory because I get car sick too.
Yeah.
Of vomiting in the back seat. I went to my grandma's house in New York, upstate New York, and she had all these old comics that were my dad's comics. Yeah. They were from a long time ago.
Yeah.
Those are valuable comics, And I was just whatever, young enough. I don't remember how old I was. I was just I just want to read them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was keep them in pristine condition. I don't know, but I just read them and I couldn't stop. And I got in the car and I was reading them in the car.
Yep.
And then I just looked up and I was like, this is it. Yep. And I just knew. And I just.
Did you throw up on the comics?
I couldn't get them to pull over in time. I couldn't get my parents. They look back and they're like, oh, he doesn't look so well.
Yeah.
And then my brother would, Jared, if you're watching this, I still am mad at you. No, I'm kidding.
What did he do?
No, he just gave it to me. He was like, I can't believe you threw up in the car. I can't believe you threw up.
Well, it does make the car stink, you really have to be prepared. So parents, here's a life hack for you, okay? If you're going on a road trip with children or with people that get car sick, what you should do is you should bring gallon-size Ziploc bags and make sure they are easily accessible, and paper towels. That's right, gallon-size Ziploc bags, paper towels, easily accessible. Everybody gets their own bag. Everybody gets paper towels, and that way if they vomit in the bag. They seal that shit up and they put it away, and it doesn't smell, and it's not a mess, and it's fine.
Or even better, put your kid in a garbage bag, 52 gallon, just cut a hole in the head.
That's right.
Right through there, and then, just have them throw up onto themselves. I think it's a pro tip.
It's definitely a fun.
It's a pro tip.
Okay, so how would that work exactly? Because if you have it all around them and then they throw up into it, arguably there's an opening to the garbage bag, which you just said that you cut a hole in. So is at the bottom?
It's less.
So you just throw up all over yourself and then it still ends up in the car?
It's less effective at preventing it. It's more of a shaming situation.
Got it. Where they won't ever do it again.
Yeah,
oh my God,
if you vomit on yourself and put the bag over your own head, it's a whole. You're
never going to do it again.
Yeah, exactly.
Or ride in a car again, or you'll stay with your parents because you'll have child services take you away.
Right, you'll never do anything ever again.
I actually just got a new car. Okay. I had the same minivan for the last 8 years. Okay, I put almost 200,000 miles on that minivan. Well, it was 14,000 or something. Whoa. No, not 14,000, 140,000. Sorry. Yeah, because we drove all across the nation, in this minivan. Me and my kids, we road trip all the time. I'm road trip warrior. We love to road trip.
What kind of car was it?
It's a Nissan Quest.
Oh no way! I grew up with a Nissan Quest.
Really?
A gray Nissan Quest.
Okay, mine was white, so better.
Okay, well, I'm not trying to be on your team here. You're
sorry.
You're minivan. We're both got Nissan Quest. We're Nissan Quest people.
Okay,
let's do the Quest handshake. We got the Quest. Yeah.
I don't think they're going
You
to
didn't learn
sponsor my
that?
show with that handshake.
You didn't
on it,
learn
no.
that one? The double? Okay, never mind. Never
No.
mind. I guess that was just in my family. We did the Nissan Quest handshake. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, we're like, okay, road trip time. Remember, don't talk to your mother for 3 hours. You can only pee every 4 hours. You are limited to 1 bottled water and the food in your bag, and that is it. And that is, there will be no complaining, no fighting, there's like rules. You may sleep during this time, listen to personal music during this time. Then we play family weird car games like, the license plate game and all of that for a certain amount of time. And then it's like, just kidding, I'm all done with you now. We're going to listen to mom's music now, and you can do whatever you want. And there'll be no disturbing the peace. Thank you. Bye-bye.
And you remember those tape? I had a tape player. So I'd have the headphones with the Walkman, and you'd listen to the same 9 songs
Oh, yeah.
over and over
Yep.
again. I mean, now when you
Yep.
think about that, I still listen to the same songs sometimes.
Well, and that's why mixtapes were so valuable, right? You were
Yeah.
like, hey, I made you a mixtape, and you're like, yes, new music I can listen to next time my parents force me in the car and I have to ignore them, right?
Yeah.
But I'm like we drove back and forth to Phoenix because my mom lived in Phoenix, and my sister and my nieces and nephews lived in Phoenix, and my mom was super sick for a while. And so we drove back and forth to Phoenix from Albuquerque, every other weekend for a year. So we put a ton of miles on the van. And every other weekend we were going on a 6, 7-hour road trip.
Yeah.
And it was just like, yeah, that's just what we do. And then before that, we've always road tripped because I have 4 kids. So it's expensive. I actually was like, okay, I'm a grown up, and maybe we could generate the funding to take an airplane to visit my dad this summer, because there's a conference that I'm trying to go to that's right after my cousin's wedding. So her wedding is on the 24th, and this conference is in New York on the 26th. And I'm like, crap, I really want to go.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to drive my kids back across the country and then hop a plane to New York in that amount. It's just, it's a
Right.
lot of turnaround because I'd need to be on a plane, arguably at the 25th, right? Because the conference starts 8 a.m. on the 26th. I'm like, oh my God. So I was like, no, we're just going to fly. And I could just fly to New York. It'd be great.
Yeah.
Tickets were $1,800 for me plus 4 kids.
Yeah, right.
I mean, which makes sense. It's $300 or $350 a person. And I was like, holy crap, well, we're not doing that. So back to the van. So I got a new vehicle because my minivan, first of all, the transmission died. And then I noticed this. So getting back around to vomiting and things.
Sure. Yeah, let's get back to that.
I know, right? But so we got, I've been driving around my new car. I got a Nissan still, guys. Apparently I'm a Nissan person.
Oh, hey,
It's a Pathfinder. I
Okay.
couldn't do a minivan anymore. I was like, I'm done with
Okay,
being a minivan
okay.
mom.
Yeah.
I'm more sophisticated. I will get an SUV. In the meantime, when my car died, my transmission died, I ended up driving around a Honda,
Sure.
a little Honda Accord, because my kids are all of the age where they're all going to be fighting over vehicles. So I was like, well, I'll get this cash car and then give it to one of the children.
Take it.
And that's
You're 12.
great,
Get
right?
out
So
there,
yeah. So I've been driving around this little Honda Accord, and originally my original thought was I was going to get rid of the minivan and I'm going to get myself a sexy little sports car because I'm,
Sure.
30 and
So
flirty
you're an
and thriving
American,
or
and
whatever.
you have a big ego and you want to feel. No,
You know what?
because
I just, driving up to meetings and things in this minivan just always
Yeah.
made me feel frumpy and I don't know, it just really bothered me. So I would sometimes park down the block or whatever. But
I'm
I
gonna
realized,
call. Hold on, let's.
I know
This
it's
is the max
so
agenda. I
terrible.
gotta call you out here. Own it.
I know,
Own
and
it. Own the
okay,
minivan.
but realize that
Put
after
some
I
flames
never,
on the side and just be Candace in the van. Okay, no, I'm kidding. Of course,
Yeah.
it's okay. Yeah.
well, so what I realized was, okay, I can't do cute, sexy sports car because of the amount of, I still have 4 kids. I can't just get rid of them. So shoving
Right.
them all in now, and they're all teenagers, right? So shoving 4 teenagers in my little Honda Accord has been rough.
Yeah.
Okay, they're fighting a lot more. And then on top of that, it's I can't carry any equipment. So them even plus backpacks is a joke. It's terrible.
Sure.
So I was and then we're going to Nebraska for my cousin's wedding in June, which is 3 weeks away. And I'm how are we going to get there in this?
Yeah.
There's no way. The car would make it, but we wouldn't survive. There would be death. So I ended up getting another vehicle and realizing that I needed to have something larger. So I settled for an SUV, Pathfinder. I'm really excited about it. But what I realized is okay, so I'd driven my minivan for so long
Sure.
that every now and again something would happen, right? So
Right.
whether it was just kids leaving messes or spilling something or whatever, and we do our best to clean it up or whatever, right? And there was one time that it was in the parking lot here at lovely 519 and somebody hit my car, of course, and didn't leave insurance information.
Sure.
So there's like a little dent in like the passenger door. And then one of the times we were driving across the country to Arizona in the middle of hot Arizona summer, I got like a rock hit my windshield. And I was like, it's fine. When we get back to town, I'll just go to one of those little places, hiding behind the
Suction
Walmart or
cup,
whatever, and
yeah.
they'll just fix it. Yeah, like there's one behind the Cracker Barrel on Course.
Pro tip,
You
everybody.
just like drive down there and you like park behind and you like wave at the guy that's standing awkwardly back there and he's gonna fix your windshield for like free, right? I don't know, he takes your personal information and all that, I don't know what he does with it, but all of a sudden my windshield's fine,
Sure.
right? So I'm like, it's fine, that's what
And
we're
your
doing.
identity got stolen.
I
you
know,
don't
right?
Why? Yeah.
It's fine, I
Yeah.
mean,
Sure.
can only go up from here, right?
Yeah.
That's what that lady was a minute ago.
There it goes. That's who that was. Oh
Yeah,
my gosh.
it's you,
Candace.
Max, you stole one.
No, what?
I'm just kidding.
Why would I ever do that?
But so I realized that over the course of those 8-9 years, like every little thing has kind of like added up. And my mom made the comment, she's like, your car smells so nice now. I'm like in my Pathfinder, right? It's like new car smell. I love new car smell. And I had to get back in the van to drive it. And I hadn't driven it for like a month and a half because the transmission had been out. So I had to get back in the van to drive it down to the car place where I was trading it in. Thank God they took it, right? Because what was I going to do with this broken car? Try to sell it to somebody and hope they didn't notice it was broken? I wasn't going to do that. So anyways, when I got into it, like it just smelled. And I realized, I was like, God, like you don't notice these things. And then
Yeah.
like I'm looking, as I'm driving it, I'm like looking around and I'm just hoping it doesn't like break down on the way down to
Yeah.
the car shop, right? I'm like, oh my God, like I don't even know if I'm going to make it. Like I have no idea. But it's so interesting because like the windshield, that little star, driving down through Arizona summer,
Yeah.
like in that weekend, it literally went from a little star to this giant crack. Like I literally watched it like go as we're driving, through Arizona in the
Yeah.
hot sun because it was so hot. And it was like, great, so I can't get that fixed. Now I'm gonna have to replace the windshield.
Yeah.
And so, it's just all this stuff. And then at one point, the van had died and I had it towed. And the tow company literally ripped my bumper off. So they ended up bolting it back on because I was like, well, it's a less expensive option. So let's do that instead of replacing the bumper, which is what I should have done.
But you can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
You can feel when a car is. I've definitely experienced that.
Yeah.
And you don't know, like totally
Yeah.
you get used to. You're like, this is how we move, baby.
Right.
You're talking to your car. This is how we drive. And then when you drive another car, I remember that I had this. I in college, I got my parents to buy me like an old BMW. And
Right.
I was like, cool. We got a Beamer, cool. So nerdy, but. We were driving up this mountain,
Right.
up to the ski valley where we were going to this cabin to hang out. And on the way down, you could smell the brakes. You could hear the brakes. And I was like, these brakes are really hard to push, But I was like, this is just how this car is, And I hadn't really known the brakes were kind of going out for a long time. But it's exactly like that, right? And we
Right.
made it down the mountain. We lived, But later, after that, I took it in. They're like, yeah, these brake pads are gone here.
Yeah.
like you're about to get to that territory of not being able to stop. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I was like, hey, this is my car. We got this.
Right. Well, and it's so interesting because we persist in these kind of broken stages, even in our personal lives. So like right now, we've just been talking about these vehicles, but how much more so do we manage to walk through life kind of picking up bad habits or bad odors or whatever, like
Right.
things about us, where it's kind of to the point where we're so used to it, we don't even notice it.
Right.
And it's interesting because I actually have a very good friend. Her name's Laura Dale. And she gave me a book recently, and I was a little bit like taken aback. And it's called Nonviolent Communication. She's like, you should read this book. And I was like, thank you.
She violently gave you
No,
a
she didn't.
nonviolent
She
book.
definitely did. The way that she did
Read
it was
it.
so very different than that.
Yeah.
And it's just the way that, like that's the kind of thing. That's what I would do. And I think
Yeah.
that's her point.
Yeah.
But so I'm starting to read through this book and realizing like, man, like there are some habits I picked up along the way that I always thought were kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, so have you ever had to pause and look back and introspectively kind of look at yourself and see like what about me maybe am I so used to that I don't notice it stinks?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we all should be doing that, self-reflecting and growing throughout our lives at some point. I mean, think for me being a white man, right, in this society, I have to look at my privilege and acknowledge what's going on inside of myself, and
Yeah.
that history growing up in that environment. So for sure, there's lots of times where I've looked back and been like, oh, how was I behaving in that situation that was, that somebody else maybe wouldn't have been able to behave in that same
Yeah.
way. I wouldn't have had the experience in life that allowed them to, do that. Or
Yeah.
when I got pulled over by the police, why didn't I, actually get taken in that situation or something like that. So all those times where how can I adjust myself
Yeah.
to adapt to, the reality around me, the society that we live in.
That's incredible. Yeah.
But yeah, for sure those situations. But I've also been doing the nonviolent communication stuff, trying to practice it a little bit. I haven't read the whole book, but I've read, snippets about it and pieces of it.
Right.
And just kind of practicing how to communicate, from a place of self, for sure, from a place of, my own experience.
Right.
For sure, as opposed to putting, a judgment on someone else's experience. Just talk about what I experienced. That's been one thing I've taken away a lot that's helped me in relationship communication, both in the workplace and at home.
Yeah. I think that's incredible. So that's one of the things that like I noticed through this car experience was just like, man, it's so easy to get to a place where we are not as objective as, we have kind of a stench, we got some, makes me think of that song. There's like an old school song, like, you like to think that you don't stink. Have you heard that song?
Yeah. What is that? Right. I can't recall.
We probably shouldn't bust it out on this show. But this whole conversation is a total sidebar. We were talking about your childhood.
Yeah. And vomit. We went right to vomit.
I know.
As soon as I mentioned my childhood, you went to vomit. No.
I'm so sorry.
No. Yeah, totally. I grew up in Minneapolis. My mom was a film teacher for 25 years at a place called the Minneapolis College of Art and Design. And my dad, worked in the film industry and the arts industry for a long time. And so, I kind of inherited this passion for film and art from my parents. And then I just loved making people laugh. I just loved that. I just loved kind of finding ways to make people smile.
Yeah.
That is just true to my most core self, my truest identity. The further I go into that, the more I become myself, the more I make people laugh. And so I've explored all these things. I've explored film as a film major in college, and then I worked at Albuquerque Studios in 2007. I started working there, and then I ended up working at Lucasfilm, Industrial Light and Magic, Skywalker Sound in the PR department. So I'm trying to find my way in the industry, and I also was doing a lot of improv comedy. So a lot of improv in Minneapolis, a place called Huge Theater, which is an incredible theater in Minneapolis. And then also at the Brave New Workshop there. And then at Killing My Lobster in San Francisco.
Killing My Lobster.
Killing My Lobster, it's like the longest running sketch comedy group in the Bay Area. The biggest in the San Francisco Bay Area. The coolest,
I
the
do
baddest.
love San Fran, so.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. It's a great group, and it's a great organization. Yeah, and I ended up becoming the managing director for a few years. So I was acting, directing,
I had
writing.
no idea that you had all this comedic timing.
Yeah.
I am not, personally, I don't think I'm very funny. Like, I think that people, think that it's funny to watch me because I'm awkward. I've been told that I'm
Look at this.
that I'm quirky, which which has been explained that means that I am awkward but in a cute way. And I'm like, I don't really know how to take that comment. But
Hold on, Candace. We're on your show, and you're having a crisis of confidence mid.
I think it's
show
important to
about-
be transparent.
True. Good. No, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying let's acknowledge it,
Yes.
Because you're confident and you're insecure, like we all are.
Absolutely.
How do our insecurities manifest?
You mentioned comedy or improv and sketch. Now, those are like the same thing, right?
Okay. No. Okay. Clearly
I was a little
prompt.
baited. That was a little baited.
No,
I know,
Very different. But yeah, not a lot of people know that when you say sketch comedy, or people, whenever you say you do comedy, they're always like, you stand up? Do you stand up? Everyone
Right.
says it was stand up, but I've
So you
never
do
been.
stand-up?
I've never been a stand up person.
I think that you should be. What are you doing tonight at 5:00? Because you're next door at Dry Heat every Monday night. They have an open mic. You could do stand-up. It could be fun.
All right. You'll do it with me?
Yeah, I will. I actually will.
I
I will.
Okay, so the sketch comedy is written out and memorized. Stand-up comedy is the same. You're supposed to have
That's
your
fine.
routine.
I actually already wrote a stand-up comedy piece, which I had performed on my show. It was terrible in front of 2 comedians. That was great. Zach Abeda and Mary Bird were here on my show, and I performed this really awesomely terrible comedy piece for them, and they didn't laugh.
Well, it's supposed to be written out. You're supposed to have your idea, your jokes. Tell your jokes.
I mean,
see
you're like
what
12
lands.
hours. You're like 5 hours.
Okay, I also have a job. Okay.
Oh, okay, a job. What is that?
Okay. Sure. But no, improv is made up completely on the spot. So there's.
Oh, so you could improv. We could do some
We
improv
could
right
do
now.
some stand-up improv.
Great.
Yeah.
I think you should do some improv
Improv right now.
right now. It's improv. Improv show. Improv show. Improv show. Woo! Improv
Live
show.
improv show. Okay,
Yeah.
the first key to a good improv show is a bad improv name. Okay, so we need an improv duo name. Okay.
Duo. Wait, whoa! You were gonna do improv. I was just gonna watch.
Solo improv?
I think
No.
that's great. There's
Who
like
wants
Solo
Candace?
Poly.
If you're
Have
sitting
you heard
watching
about
this-
that on the new dating apps adventure? Solo Poly. Have you heard about that? It means you're by yourself, but
Sure.
want to be with multiple people
But
simultaneously.
let's put it to the people. If you're sitting at home watching this show right now, go ahead. Let's hear it by round of applause. Who wants Candace to do the improv? Oh!
It's like two
Oh,
people.
snap!
That's great. Great. Okay, cool.
Okay, so we're doing it.
Great.
Okay, we're doing an improv.
I
scene.
think we should make that person join us.
Yeah, we should.
I think so.
Okay, join the scene if you're at home. No, okay, but really, we need a suggestion from the audience, right? And then we're just gonna do a scene. That's what improv is. You feel it out, trust
Okay.
each other, collaborate, have
Are we
each
gonna
other's
stand up
backs.
for this scene?
Are you ready to?
I'm just asking.
That would be best. We should do some
We
scene
should-
work.
Oh God.
We
Okay.
should set the stage.
That feels like a lot. I mean,
Okay, we
you're
can
gonna
do it.
run- we're
We
gonna,
can do it sitting down. That's fine.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
I guess.
Okay.
Do we have a prompt?
We don't have to have a prompt, but it helps the audience a lot of times. Does anyone-
Audience, can you give us a
Can you
prompt?
give us a prompt for an improv scene?
Claustrophobia on a submarine.
Claustrophobia on a submarine. That sounds terrible.
You say, I heard claustrophobia on a submarine, right? Okay, let's do it.
All right.
Okay,
I
so
don't really know what
we're
we're-
underwater. There's a yellow submarine. We're both inside the yellow submarine.
And I'm singing the song. We all live on a. I
And you're
don't-
singing the
no,
song. Okay, yeah.
Yellow submarine. Yellow submarine. I don't actually know the words.
Danny, I don't think we should have done this.
Who the fuck is Danny?
Danny, I don't think it's you, Danny.
I'm
You're
Danny.
Danny.
Oh, I forgot my name again. Oh my God. Okay. I'm Danny. That's right. I'm Danny. That's right. Okay. What's your name?
It was supposed to be a road trip. Cheryl, I'm
A
Cheryl.
road trip. How did we get in the submarine?
I don't know. That's what I don't think we should have done. We were going to
Cheryl.
Arizona.
Okay. Arizona on a submarine? How are we gonna get there on a?
I don't know how this happened, okay? Look, all I
I'm
know
sorry.
is
Who are you again?
Cheryl.
Cheryl.
Your sister. We turned left at Albuquerque, right?
Oh yeah. Okay.
And we
Bugs.
ended
You're
up-
Bugs Bunny.
And we ended up in the Gulf of Mexico,
What?
and there was a submarine.
Right. Oh God, that's right.
And we
That's
ate-
where we met those sharks.
And we ate the agave. We're here. We're
That's
here now. We're
Agave.
here. You vomited on those sharks.
I did.
And they're chasing
I
us.
did. Oh, that's right, because they really liked that vomit. It was like chum in the water.
They loved your vomit.
That's crazy, because yes, Maddie told me that they wouldn't. They said that they were gonna be fine.
You should bottle your vomit. Cut to 5 years later. Bottle vomit. Bottle vomit. Yeah.
That's right. We sell the bottle vomit. You can throw it on yourself to make yourself feel bad at any
Bo-
moment.
Yeah, anytime you want.
Oh, yeah,
And
kids.
it's delicious. There's
That's
cherry.
right.
We got cherry.
That's right. I made it myself in my stomach.
We just got cherry. That's
It's
all we
just,
got.
I don't like other flavors, to be honest.
He eats a lot of cherries.
That's right, cherries.
Yeah. Cut to 5 years later. The business didn't work. We tried the business.
I thought we had a better idea for a business, and that was like throw you overboard.
Yeah, that would have been good. Cut back to the submarine. Don't throw me overboard.
But
Whatever
it would
you
be
do.
great, because what would happen is the sharks would eat you, and I would be fine.
Right, and my claustrophobia would go
That's
away.
right. See,
Okay.
that's the solution.
You've convinced me. Throw me.
That's basically how all of my dates go.
Yeah, is it?
Yeah,
There's a little bit of vomit.
always.
End up in a vehicle you don't want to be in.
Yeah, it's great.
Good.
So Max, after all of that adventure, what are you doing with your life now?
What am I doing with my life?
And not after the submarine. I mean, after
Sure.
the all the cool things that you
Sure.
mentioned.
Well, I recently, in December, I just started as the Performing Arts Manager at the National Hispanic Cultural Center.
That's incredible. What does that entail? I feel like that's a big job, because they've got 8,000 billion things going on all the time.
Yeah, certainly. No, it's a pretty amazing facility. As far as performing arts facilities go, it's pretty new.
I think we actually have some pictures that we could
Yeah.
talk through while you're talking about the performing arts facility.
Yeah, we have 3 theaters: the Journal Theater, the Bank of America Theater, and the Wells Fargo Auditorium.
So what's this one?
I think we're looking at the Bank of America here, which is our film screening
Oh, that's
theater.
right. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that's where Broadway Bound performs as well.
Broadway Bound Live. That's
Yeah,
right.
Broadway
Yeah.
Bound Live. So just an incredible facility with different theaters, and it's just a really state-of-the-art facility with an incredible staff. It looks like the Journal
This
Theater.
is the Journal. Yeah.
And so we'll have a lot of
And
different
the
groups
Journal
in it.
sits about 600 people. Is that right?
691.
Yeah.
So almost 700, almost 700. But world-class shows at the NHCC, incredible high-level performances. You know, anytime it's mission aligned, it's Latinx, Hispanic artwork. So we're always trying to promote.
What does that mean, mission aligned? What is
So-
the mission of NHCC?
Sure. The
That's
National Hispanic Cultural Center is a state organization, state facility, and our mission is to preserve, promote, and advance Hispanic and Latinx arts and culture. So we do that a lot of different ways, right? We should be a community center, right?
Yeah.
We should be uplifting Hispanic and Latinx artists. When we're
Right.
doing our best work, that's what we're doing. When
Yeah.
and that's what mission aligned means, is when we're doing our best work, we're promoting, preserving, and advancing Hispanic art. you know,
Right.
in some way, shape, or form.
One thing that, I mean, you kind of told me that I didn't know, that maybe the community doesn't know. I mean, I'm a New Mexico native, right? So like I've been here forever. But is that indigenous people also fall into that umbrella? Is that right?
Yeah, certainly. I mean,
Um,
think about the history of the region. Think about the
Right.
history of Latin America and how present, and the history of the United States, how
Right.
present indigenous people are.
Right.
And so fundamentally, of course, that is part of the makeup
Right.
of those people that is so important to advance.
Absolutely, that's amazing. So are all the events that you guys host like your own kind of productions? I know you definitely have your own productions.
Well, being that we have a state budget, sometimes we don't have budget to produce our own work. So a lot of the stuff that we do in performing arts will be partnering with local organizations like Festival Ballet or the Flamenco Festival, the National Institute of Flamenco, or Opera Southwest.
Right.
All these fantastic partners that we have that put on these incredible shows at our facility in our biggest theater. You know, for example, NIF, the National Institute of Flamenco, has the Flamenco Festival coming up in June,
That's
which a lot of
incredible.
people know about. It's literally world-class flamenco artists, the best in the world coming in from Spain, and local artists.
Yeah.
And they're also here, and they're at Popejoy throughout that festival. But it's really, it's an incredible experience to be able to see that world-class festival at the facility. So we partner with a lot of groups. We also rent the facility out, and then we do produce our own shows. Now,
Yeah.
in the museum, they have their own funds from grants they've written
Right.
to produce their own work. And they're still partnering with artists, but
Oh,
they're
of course.
curating art specifically for that museum. So the artwork in the museum, honestly, I think it's like underviewed. Like
Yeah,
that's-
well, and I mean, I think that for me, I've always thought of the National Hispanic Cultural Center as primarily a space to go watch, shows and performing arts things. But they have a lot of different facilities on there. So there's a museum. Can you tell us about what else is on, what is all offered at the National Hispanic Cultural Center?
Yeah, for sure. There's a fantastic museum, like you said, we call it the Visual Arts Department, that has all kinds of different art in there. Right now, the Nexo exhibit is incredible. I highly recommend visiting that. It's a beautiful, beautiful museum, and it's not overwhelming. It's down to earth. It's welcoming.
Yeah.
It's a safe space for anybody to walk into.
I love that.
For sure. And then we also have the History and Literary Arts Department, which has a library in it, which is Hispanic, Latinx, books that you can borrow, and then a genealogy center there, which is also really incredible space. If you're Hispanic, Latinx, or want to find more about your own
Right.
genealogy, there's a really cool opportunity to go into that space and kind of, there'll be someone there to meet with you and coach
Wow.
you through it and help you through it. We have a librarian and archivist on site.
That is
And
so cool.
that's really focused on, literary arts, books,
Yeah.
and history, right, of Hispanic, Latin American people. And then we have the education department, which is
Right.
also, so key, so important. Like, how do you promote and preserve art without education? You can't. And it goes both ways, right? It's been proven time and again, studies say that art helps students do better in science and math, when they
Right.
have experiences in art. It's so valuable for our society. So the education department is incredible. They have all kinds of different education opportunities, including something called Arte Poquito, where they're working with really young kids to explore art, maybe performing arts art or visual art. And then they also have these Dia de Familias that they host, which are these great opportunities to come in and kind of make a night of it with a family. And that also sometimes leads into film screenings. We'll do
Right.
family film screenings, and there'll be food, and there'll be art activities, and there'll be music. And so really what we want to be is this place where our doors are open to the community, where the
Yeah.
community feels safe coming, feels happy to come, knows that this is their institution. I mean, that's the purpose that we serve,
Right.
to expose people to the arts in really great ways.
That's
Give them
incredible.
opportunities not only to see high-quality professional Hispanic Latinx art, but also to participate in
Yeah.
their own way, And everyone from my daughter, who's 3 years old, to, we just had this amazing folk dance class through the AERP.
Yeah.
So, older folks as well have an opportunity to participate.
That's
So it should be, everyone should be represented. And that's something we're working towards in our programming and performing arts right now. I've been there for about 5 months. But we've been talking about, that big picture concept. Who's coming to an opera, who's coming to a ballet.
Right.
Sometimes it's a certain audience, right?
Yeah.
And how can we represent those other audiences? What other kind of content can we
Right.
bring in to bring in some of the younger people? Make sure that they feel like this is their center too. Because it really should be representative of the city of Albuquerque, the people who are attending,
Right.
the state of New Mexico, all across New Mexico, all the regions, and it should be nationally representing as well, meaning
Absolutely.
we're bringing in national level acts and we're getting that exposure. And so there's some things we're doing. We're rebuilding the website. We're going to be promoting some things, posting videos online, partnering with this great group called Katharsis Media to stream some of our events online. Make it accessible,
Right.
Get access for people to these events.
Yeah.
And we're thinking about that as far as programming. Look out for an upcoming alert about July 3rd, July 4th weekend. We're going to have a free concert in the plaza. I can't say who, but it's going to be very
It's
cool.
going to be exciting.
It's going to be very, very cool. So keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how can we open our doors? How can we make people feel welcome? Everyone
That's
feel
incredible.
welcome.
Yeah. I know that you guys have a clip as well from one of the family days.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and cut to that, and then we'll come back and talk about what else.
Yeah, for sure.
So these look like incredible opportunities to just bring the community together, to do some really cool artwork for sure, but also just to come together to kind of fellowship and to just showcase culture. I think it's a beautiful opportunity.
Well, I think, something else I would be remiss not to mention is the film program at the HGC.
Yeah.
Because, film has been so important for Albuquerque. I used to work at Albuquerque Studios back
Right.
when before it was Netflix, back in 2007, 2010, when Breaking Bad was being, made there by local artists.
Right.
And we need more local filmmakers. We need more local artists. We need them to be at a professional level. So we recently hired Shiloh Burton to come in, who's
Yeah.
our film coordinator, they're just incredible.
Yeah.
And we have this great summer film series
Yeah.
coming up right now. And one of the first films we're doing coming up is Blood In, Blood Out, Bound
Right.
by Honor. And actually Jimmy Santiago Baca, who that film is based on his true life story,
Right.
is going to be there doing a book signing and talking before the event. So we're really excited about that film. And then the whole summer film series from there just kind of launches off.
Right.
And Shiloh's just diving into it. So every single
Yeah.
time it's going to be, food that aligns with the film and, music or art vendors or
Right.
activities or whatever it is, so that it becomes, an event that your whole family can go to on a Thursday night, or
Right.
that anyone can go to. You can go on date night on Thursday night.
And a lot of these events, excuse me, a lot of these events are open to the public and free. So there's no admission for some of them. Some
Yeah.
of them, there is a ticket price, but a lot of these events are open, and I think that's really providing a lot of access, and that's really
Yeah,
important.
the screenings are. Any NHCC original content that we're making is going to be free. If it's a partner event, obviously, it's important to be uplifting those artists by making sure they're getting revenue, because
Right.
nonprofit arts organizations, they have a budget. They got to be generating revenue, and almost every time, the shows they make don't break even.
Yeah.
Just by the fact of trying to pay their artists.
Yep.
Just by paying their artists, which is such a challenge in our society right
Yeah.
now. We play a key role in that as a state organization here in New Mexico. How can we uplift these artists?
Yeah.
What can we offer them in value? And the other thing I really think that's important to mention about the NHCC is the staff, because so many of them have worked there for 10, 15, 20 years. I've been there 5 months. These people have dedicated a huge portion of their life to this place,
Right.
of their lives to this place. And, they are local artists too. A lot of them grew up as local artists in Albuquerque, and they're passing on their knowledge,
Yeah.
and they're working in this facility. It's incredible. So, they're so dedicated to the art. And to be truthful, there's been some press out there lately, some stuff in the newspaper that have kind of been, a little disparaging of the NCC, but being on the ground, seeing the work that these people are doing every single day, like they're putting the work in to bring art to the community.
Absolutely.
And they have been for a long time, and they're putting their full selves into it, which is pretty amazing. People like Santiago Cantalaria, people like, Pepe Gallardo, people like James Chavez, I already mentioned Shiloh, Kirk Brown, but Jadira in the visual arts department, there's so many people who've been there for a long, long time, the Daryl Pipers, the Mimi Peavies, these individuals have put so much into the center and to bringing art to Albuquerque.
Yeah.
And that's part of what makes the center so great.
Yeah.
And that's part of, serving the mission, for sure.
Well, and I know, like, for myself, Katharsis Media, which is the company that's on Neu Agenda and is here. So we have been really, really honored to be partnering with the National Hispanic Cultural Center for one of our biggest, most important projects, and that's Broadway Bound Live. So Broadway Bound Live, for those of you who don't know, is a musical. It's a televised musical theater competition show that follows a group of low-income young adults who have a passion to be Broadway performers, so they want to have a career in professional musical theater. But because of the fact that they grew up in these low-income communities, they haven't had access to training. And so we auditioned and interviewed over 300 contestants and narrowed it down to 14 who have been competing for the last couple of months.
Yeah.
And they're coming up on their finale. So they've gone through 7 rounds of elimination. Every one of them has received and continues to receive private voice lessons, group dance, group acting lessons. So those scholarships alone have been, for some of them, the first time they've ever had a private vocal coach. And they've had an incredible amount of growth. And so they've gone through 7 different challenges. And now they're producing a brand new musical. It's called You're a Catch, Why Are You Single? It's by an artist who comes out of Australia, actually. And it's about the woes of online dating. So it's kind of, that's why I've been throwing out all these kind of dating remarks, right? Like, I did some research on some dating apps and learned some interesting facts. I had to look some things up, like what is solo poly? I guess I knew what that was, but I had to really, and my definition was crass and terrible and not accurate at all.
Good.
Yeah.
You're reading things and not representing them. Good.
I mean, this musical is going to actually make its U.S. debut on the stages at National Hispanic Cultural Center. And the center has actually housed us through the entire season. So from callbacks to weekly rehearsals to all of the competitive events, they've all been housed at the National Hispanic Cultural Center. And that partnership has really made it possible. So we're so honored to be able to be there. And it's really important for us too, because we're trying to represent that community that is often marginalized and that is set, kind of outside of the realm of access. And so 56% of our cast is Hispanic or Indigenous, and our cast and crew. And so we're really excited to be able to be in a space that isn't just like, you can use our space, but that is literally an icon for, and its mission is to support and to lift up the culture of so many of our members. And so we're really, really excited and honored. One thing that I think we're both excited about, I know you're excited, I'm very excited, that's coming up is actually is it May the 13th? Yeah, coming up. So right now, right after this show, if you are not busy, and if there's spots left, but we actually have the cast of Hamilton coming in to the National Hispanic Cultural Center.
Alexander Hamilton.
Yeah, so 3 of the cast members are coming in to work with the cast of Broadway Bound Live, but it's open. There are 40 slots. It's an acting workshop, which will be really cool. Are you going to go?
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's going to be really awesome. You'd have to have a prepared monologue. I know you're worried about preparation and all.
I would probably go and watch. And
Oh,
not
okay, you're not
participate.
participating.
Right.
All right.
Who is the workshop supposed to be for, right?
Right, and so, we're definitely targeting young people, young adults, and we're definitely targeting our Hispanic and Indigenous people as well, are those cultures primarily. So we're kind of marketing it through some of those avenues primarily. There's only 40 slots and it is a free workshop. So if you're interested at all, and this is a great time to go ahead and get signed up, get down there. Otherwise,
Candace, that's why I'm so excited about Broadway Bound Live. That's why I got so excited about this partnership in the first place, because part of my passion is comedy, but my other passion is accessibility, right? At Killing My Lobster, like I said, it's an amazing organization, and part of that was, in comedy, it's been like 90% white men for a long time.
Yeah.
Spoken from the voice of a white man. You'll acknowledge that for sure. But so much of the work we did was about diversifying that, about giving accessibility, about creating a space where people who have been marginalized or underrepresented can create their art. And that's the same thing at the National Hispanic Cultural Center. That's why it's part of the reason I'm so excited to work there, right? An underrepresented community has an opportunity to work with high-level professionals. And Hamilton's a perfect example of that, right? I mean, with what Lin-Manuel Miranda created, essentially the original cast and everything was all POC, right?
Yep.
Rooting it in those communities. And we need to be rooting our work in those communities. So giving those educational experiences for people to have that professional level training like this for free, who maybe haven't always had access to it, is something I'm really passionate and excited about. And part of the reason I'm so excited about partnering with Broadway Bound Live at the NHCC and excited about this workshop on the 13th, which I'll be there. And then stick around, come for the workshop and stick around for the movie. With Jimmy Santiago Baca, the book signing, the talk, and the film that same day. So
it's going to be a jam-packed day. We actually have a jam-packed week because we've got that event. I was just informed that AMDA, College of Performing Arts, is sending us some Broadway alumni to do another workshop. So we'll be getting details out to you about that as well, which will also be at the National Hispanic Cultural Center on the 20th, so the morning, and then that evening we have our show. And so they'll be actually on our set that morning, and then we'll have our show, You're a Catch, Why Are You Single? Part 1, and then we'll have it again. It's not a part, but it's we have 2 performances. The second performance will be on the 21st, and that's when we'll be awarding 4 of those finalists with scholarships ranging between $40,000 and $60,000, renewable scholarships to AMDA College of the Performing Arts. It's going to be an incredible event, and we're really, really excited.
And Zach and I will be there. I mean, those scholarships, that's incredible. That is so exciting. That is giving accessibility. And I know Zach Quintero, our interim executive director, will be there the first night. I'll be there the second night. So,
nice.
If you're watching this right now, please come say hello. We want to hear from the community for sure, and be there to support. But I can't wait to see this kind of final product of this 8-round process.
I know,
of rehearsals.
it'll be 16 weeks in a row of training for these contestants. We've been prepping for this for months and months, and so we're super excited. It's a funny, you love comedy, so it's a musical. It's a comedy musical or musical comedy. There we go.
Sure.
There's dancing.
There's no wrong
there's
way to
singing,
say it.
It's been musically music direction by Renato Estacio Berdic, sorry about that. And he is phenomenal. He actually is a professional opera singer who is hanging out with us and just long enough until he heads off to Greece to go perform in June, which is exciting. And choreography by Deidre Michelle. I know, right? Who's not only a SAG talent agent, but has been a choreographer and dancer and model her entire life. So
And just works so hard. Like what?
I know. So
I don't.
the many hats that woman wears, I don't even know.
Yeah.
So it is amazing. I'm directing, so it's been a lot of fun for me. I haven't directed a musical since Broadway Bound Live season 1. So it's been a while. Before that was my life. I directed musicals. So I'm really excited, and it's so exciting to be able to do new works. That's usually what we do when we work, in New York. We work on Broadway or off Broadway or whatever. But here, in community theaters, we do a lot of, shows that have already been up, shows that came off of Broadway and now are up for, to be done. And so this will actually be a U.S. debut of this new show. And, all of the music for this show, but also for the entire production, has been sourced directly by artists. So we haven't gone through publishing houses or things like that. So we've been putting up new works all season long, which has been really cool. So now it's the culminating day, and I'm so excited and honored for you guys to be hosting. And
Well, I think it's so cool about it too is the amount of donations, the amount of time that people have put into this. You know, and some people obviously are paid employees working for it, you know, but they're also, you know, passionate about it,
Right.
which is really cool to see. And, you know, you don't always see that. You know,
Right.
you don't always see that.
Yeah.
But also people donating their time, donating their efforts. Hamilton cast coming and donating their
Right.
time. You know, I know a lot of the wardrobe was donated,
Right.
right? All that stuff. So it's really cool to see the community kind of come together in support of this,
Yeah.
you know, amazing premiere
I know.
at the NHCC. So,
we're so excited.
yeah.
So one of the things that we started off the show with, you know, is the idea of like, what do we do when things don't
Wait.
go?
Wait, Candace, before we get to that, okay,
Yeah,
you
go-
direct musicals. We just did an improv
Oh
set.
no, that's not happening.
I'm just going to get you on the record. We're filming right now. Promising to direct me in a solo comedy musical improv show. That was what we could do for the stand-up.
Absolutely.
That's what we could do for the
Okay.
stand-up. Yeah.
Okay.
Promise, Pinky.
Sure.
Is this a pinky swear
Sure,
situation?
I don't care. I'll direct you.
Okay, you
That's
you
fine.
saw this.
That's right.
Okay.
No,
It'll be
we
fun.
pinky promise.
We're doing
Now
it
you have to
now.
do it.
Now we have to do it.
You guys stay tuned for that.
I can't sing. But
One of
that'll
the
be great.
things that is hard about Broadway Bound Live
Yeah.
is that, you know, we have 14 contestants. We've had to say goodbye to about half of them so far.
Oh, it's like Great
Right.
British Bake Off.
Now they continue to get their lessons, of course, and they'll be there in the audience and up on stage, you know, saying, you know, thank you guys and all that, and you know, hello and all that. But I mean, they're not performing, and so now we're down to the final 8. 4 of those students will win scholarships, and 4 of them will not. And that is it's hard, right? So, you know, one of the things that, you know, I had asked at the top of this show was, how do we pivot? You know, when we receive that news, that information that is disappointing. And maybe we could offer some tips, because it's going to be, you know, just in 2 weeks, it's going to be one of those things where we need to offer some advice and some tips for how do we overcome when something that we had hoped happened didn't come through the way we expected, or something stepped in the way and now we have this different obstacle. How
Yeah.
do you handle disappointment?
Well, like, fear is such a big thing, right? Anxiety about it. You know, anxiety to make a mistake,
Right?
to mess up, right? To be judged. And so often that what I found in my life, you know, this is just speaking from my experience, is that, and this is something we talk a lot about in improv, right? Mistakes are opportunities.
Yeah.
Mistakes are chances to explore something else. You know, there's a reason why it happened. And to
Right.
not hold on to your ego in that. So
Yeah.
much, when you're going on stage in improv, you're making things up, you're collaborating, and you're gonna make a mistake. Everyone's gonna make a mistake.
Right.
And so often the best way is to lean into that mistake.
Yeah.
So when you're pivoting, you know, whether you call it a mistake or not, you know, a
Right.
failure, you know, a not success, whatever you're
Right.
calling it, you know, lean into it. Lean into
Yeah.
yourself, lean into the reason why, for sure. That would be my advice based on my
Yeah.
experience, based on doing a lot of improv, which is, again, like I said, the ultimate collaboration, having each other's backs and supporting others through it. So that's one way to pivot, is to lean into yourself for sure, into what happened, and to lean into that part of yourself that wants to uplift others,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, I think that definitely, you know, finding that ability to be able to cheer other people on is a great way. First of all, it's a great way to network too. Like, you know, we're not all going to New York, but 4 of us are going to New York, and those are 4 more people that we'll have in New York, building networks and creating spaces where we get to go now and visit too. So that's important. I love that idea of like also like being introspective. Like, you know, at the end of the day, we're trying to sift out who is the right fit for these scholarships. And so it also asks the question, as a person maybe who didn't get it, like how can I grow from this so that the next time I am that number 1 spot. And so I think that that's one of the things is, okay, like looking back and saying, okay, where do I still need to grow? And then the other thing is looking at what you have. Like, don't forget to count the success that you already have and the benefits that you already have. Maybe this wasn't the right, you know, or whatever it is, not just for Broadway Bound Live, but in general, like maybe what you thought was great for you isn't the right fit for, or even maybe not right now, right? And so looking at what other opportunities, what other avenues, what other benefits, maybe did this experience bring you, but also what are the avenues that are available? A lot of times we get kind of like stuck and we're like, well, that didn't work. And so now we give up. But instead, to say, okay, that door is closed. Let's look for a window. Let's jiggle all the handles. Where are we going now? There has to be a way to continue to pursue that dream or to continue to move forward. And so if we're not able to get, that way, right, through that door, there needs to be, there's another way. Find it. And if there's not, then we ask ourselves, is this really what we want? And sometimes that's what it is too. We had some, people that worked their way through the show and realized at some point, actually this isn't as much of a passion for me as I thought it was. And sometimes that's what it is. It's actually, that's the success, is we went through it and realized this wasn't it. Kind of like in relationships, we're having this show about relationships, and sometimes the biggest success of a relationship is when you acknowledge we're not meant to be together. We're not good for each other, and you break up. People always view breakups as a failure, but I think that sometimes it is the greatest success. We decided.
Or divorce. Some people go, oh, you got divorced.
Right.
You know what? Sometimes divorce is the absolute best path forward. It's the absolute right thing for everybody.
Yeah, because it's also the acknowledgement of like, hey, we can both move right along, and we can move on towards what's going to make us happy and get us to our goals, which maybe we couldn't do together, no matter how much we care for that person, and I think that's so important. So yeah, realizing too, like, maybe the success was realizing this wasn't your thing, or it wasn't the right fit, or you had other goals or other dreams that actually surfaced a little bit louder.
Yeah, and a big part of that is letting go of your insecurities and anxieties, right, and pushing that out, because those things just really carry as a weight on you in life, right? And that's not to say that I've accomplished that. I still have anxieties and insecurities all the time.
I had one today on the show, yeah.
But letting them go and being secure in yourself allows you to move forward, without an ego, without feeling, frustration with someone else, or disappointed that someone else got something that you didn't get, or something like that. Just be secure in yourself and move forward. As an actor who's auditioned, thousands of times, I've had some great roles. I've also, had 950 auditions that I didn't get the part. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't right for it. And you can't take offense to that. You know what I mean? It wasn't the right fit, or that's not what they saw, or they didn't see that part. And that's totally acceptable. That's part of going into that risk-taking process. So hopefully all those people going through that, wherever they end up in that process, come out. I think they're going to come out with so much already, right?
Absolutely.
Because they've already been through all the classes, and just the experience of doing 8 rounds in 16 weeks and being in it and connecting with these people. That's why I say the Great British Bake Off, right? You see them. What do they say? That's my favorite question on that show. Are you going to keep baking? Like what? Like what? Yes, I'm going to keep baking. But I guess maybe you're saying maybe not. Maybe some people are like, I'll never bake another muffin.
We have had some people say, I'll still do some theater, but I realized it wasn't the career choice that I thought it was going to be. Yeah. And I think that's part of what we're doing here too, is like kind of asking that question. But I'm being notified that we have to stop talking because we've managed to talk for a full hour.
Oh, okay.
So it's about
Oh, we're
time.
on camera?
I know, yeah.
Oh, I thought we were just hanging out.
No. But thank you so much for joining me on my show today, and for just sharing your wealth of knowledge and comedy, and joining me on my crazy, wacky adventures. So
yeah, I love it.
That's all the time we have for today. It's time for
a new agenda.
And then he freezes. I'm not sure what's going on.
I froze it. No, let's do a freeze jump. Can we do a freeze jump?
You can.
Okay. Friends!
That didn't work.
You didn't do it with me.
Bye!